Here, summer scouting, early July down in Maryland on some public land. So I thought I'd make a video kind of going over some sign to look for. And as I'm walking back to the spot that I marked, some deer tracks. Right in between two fields here, there's a little thick patch of woods. There's also some deer poop a little farther back. That's a good sign that there's deer moving around here. Smaller little state game land here in Carroll County, so yeah, good sign. I'm gonna keep on hiking back to the spot that I marked on Onyx, and I'll kind of go over all of that, what I saw, what made me pick that spot, but it's a good sign that there's something on the way there. So I finally got to the edge of this field. Gets into woods here, and there's a creek on the bottom side. So I'm gonna make my way into the woods and kind of walk the little hillside in between the field and the creek, and there should be some good sign there. I really like the way this area looks. Good travel lane for deer to go to from food to water, so yeah, good. Give it a walk, record any sign that I see, and maybe some deer that I spook up. Thought I heard something there. I'll catch up with y'all. I'm about 20 yards in to the woods here. Hard to see on the camera, but there's a nice used deer trail running right through here. I'm kind of gonna follow that and we'll see what we end up running into. That's a good sign right off the bat. Look here. Kept on following that trail that I hopped on in the beginning, coming from right here. You can see we got one running through there. That one continues through here. So this seems like a little point. Looks like there might be a little movement down here, a little trail. That's the thing with scouting. Deer, they're hard to, figure out, but they are simple creatures in the fact that, you just gotta find their bedding area, where they're eating, and their water source. And, that's what coming early in the summer, it changes by the time you get to hunting season, but even if you start to get them figured out a little bit, it makes a big difference in just walking in blind. So much cooler down here by this creek. Like I said, it's early July 7th, 88 degrees. Getting a good sweat figuring these deer out. But the thing about going uphill to that food source, you just gotta look uphill. And here's a trail that they've been using. You can see some of the tracks heading up this trail. So I'm gonna keep on making my way over, see if there's some more. I mean, it is super thick up in this hillside. I'm sure there's some deer bedded up on this hillside somewhere. That's what you want to see though. Just spooked one up. I was like, right after I said something about, I think there will be something bedding in here. Jumped one up right on this corner. I don't know if I got it running away on the camera. I probably walked within 10-15 yards of it. I figured with this thickness, they'd be bedded on this hillside. And like I said, you got the water and the food right up there. I just gotta find a decent trail to get to this spot on, but seems pretty good so far. Here you can see where I added the bedding area. It's a nice thing with that app, you can kind of just, start adding things as you find them, just to kind of get an idea. See what changes from them to now. Got a cobweb on my screen. Running out of dry shirt to wipe the camera off with. Look pretty fresh tracks. Out here, another funnel. Each side you added a funnel there. It's honestly a better example of one. Just like the way this one goes right into the hillside, or into the creek bed. But this one, has the low cuts in. Pretty much this whole hillside on this back side of the game lands is good. There will not be a small buck getting killed back there. That would be a hell of a drag. It's kind of the thing with game lands is you kind of gotta go where no one else wants to go to get good results. Might get lucky, but hunting pressure is such a big thing. I never hunted these game lands. I don't know how many people really hunt them. Killed a buck 2 years ago in the game lands up in PA, the 7 Point. First time out that year. Never scouted the area. The summer prior. I hunted it one time, maybe a year or two prior. I show up there during the rut, and I just hunted the evening. I showed up, saw a couple deer, a couple small buck throughout the evening, maybe half an hour before dusk. It just went wild. Probably 3 or 4 different rack buck, none of them huge. The one that I shot was probably the biggest one. But it just kind of shows, like, sometimes you get lucky. I didn't scout or anything and still managed to kill a deer, but it's better to take the time in the summer, get to know the area. Just gives you better chances of doing it. Last year I scouted that area, didn't get anything, so yeah, it's something you really never figure out, I feel like. I'm gonna make my way back to the truck. Still got, I don't know, maybe half, like 800 yards, something like that to go. And turn the camera back on when I get there. Hopefully I don't pass out on the way.